Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. We are told that we live in the free world and the rest of the world lives under tyranny and without freedom of speech and the freedoms that we all are happy to employ, use. As I said, these are not freedoms that we got here or rights. We don't have rights, we have only temporary privileges because a right cannot be taken away, especially by someone who didn't give it in the first place, which is the government. So I have here a video. I'm gonna play about 4 minutes of this video, where a young, I would say, gentleman makes a point about the freedom of speech in Great Britain. Great Britain is right there with United States of America. We are told in the freedom of speech is part of the free world, and he's going to give us some data on how people were arrested in the West versus Russia for social media posts. He's going to give us some numbers, and then he's going to give us, I think, 2 examples. I'm familiar with the second example, the one with the dog prank, not with the first one. So let's start with this video and listen to it.
400 people were arrested for things. In Russia last year, 400 people were arrested for things that they said on social media. 400 people in Russia. Obviously, this country is very different. How many people do you think were arrested in Britain for things they said on social media last year?
Go on.
Take a guess.
I have no idea.
3,300.
Really? Arrested for what they'd said on social media?
Yeah.
Really? What sort of things get you
Well,
arrested?
one example I give in my show is there was a young woman from Liverpool called Chelsea Russell, and people can look this up. Her friend was killed in a car crash, a 19-year-old woman, and she posted the lyrics of his favorite song on her Instagram, the lyrics. And it was a rap song, so the lyrics contained several instances of the N-word. Okay? She was arrested, prosecuted, found guilty, given 500 hours of community service and a fine, tagged, and for a year she was under 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. curfew.
My goodness.
In Britain.
In Britain.
In 2018.
So we talk about the Chinese system of social credits.
Right.
And describe it as the creation of, or the emerging of a digital prison. But we're doing it to ourselves voluntarily in the West, so to speak.
Absolutely. I mean,
So we'll cancel people socially if they say the wrong thing on social media. But you're telling me now that 3,500 people were visited by the police.
No, far more were visited by the police. Far more. There are cases just half a year ago, and I defended Jo Brand, a British comedian, over this. She made some comments, which, you know, it wasn't a great joke, but she talked about this during this milkshaking episodes where people were having milkshake thrown at them. She said that, well, if I was doing it, I'd throw some acid over them, right? That's not a great joke, but she got a visit from the police on the basis that she was, quote, inciting violence. And they eventually decided not to proceed with prosecution. But it was obviously a joke. She's a comedian. She was on a comedy program. The context is very clear, right? The defining case actually in recent British history on this was the Count Dankula incident. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
No.
This is a Scottish YouTuber who made. Okay, so this is quite an interesting one to explain. His girlfriend had a pug dog. You know those little ugly dogs.
So this is the dog example I knew of. I didn't know about the other one.
Well, I'm going to get in trouble
you'll
now.
be in trouble.
Yeah,
You can expect a call. You've offended pug dogs.
Exactly. And she thought it was the cutest thing in the world. Yeah. And he wanted to annoy her for a prank. So he trained the dog to be the most horrific thing that he could think of, which in this case was a Nazi. So he trained this dog to do a Nazi salute. Right? He posted it on YouTube to his 3 subscribers at the time. And overnight, the video went completely viral. 3 million views in like a week. He was arrested, convicted, found guilty, fined £800. And he is, to this day...
What precisely was the charge?
It was hate speech.
Hate speech.
Hate speech, yeah. Oh, no, sorry. It was grossly offensive. He was being grossly offensive. That's the correct legal terminology. And he to this day is a hate criminal. When the papers write about him, they're legally allowed to call him a Nazi hate criminal.
Wow.
That is where we are. And it really started with that. I talk about all of these things in my show, where we are now in a position where in that court case, the prosecutor argued that context and intent are irrelevant.
Context and intent irrelevant. So if you say something as a joke, if you just say something as you repeat it, I think that's what he's also going to say, repeat it. Like right now, if I would just reiterate or paraphrase that, I could be visited by police in the free world, free country of Great Britain.
And the judge accepted this.
Really?
So even by retelling the story to you now, I am potentially engaging in grossly offensive behavior. Context and intent, according to these people, are irrelevant. Now, get your mind around that and think about the potential implications of that.
So, my friends, what do you think? Intent and context irrelevant. So, this is the Great Britain, not Russia. So, when you are bombarded with information from the free media here that he was arrested for or she was fired from her job as a teacher for using the wrong pronouns because a child demanded that and she didn't comply, she was not kind enough, and then they don't tell you the follow-up, which is she would be reinstated and sue the school for that. They will not tell you that the rest of the story. They do this to condition us in saying, oh my God, I can't say that. You get fired. Oh my God, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my income. So that's the whole purpose of promoting this kind of things. Why do you think they don't come with a follow-up? Sometimes they do, but comes and goes. If you noticed, a lot of news come and linger for months or weeks. Every day you see it in the provider. Let's say I go on Yahoo. All right, I go on Yahoo over there, and you see the same article over and over for, I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks, and you see follow-up, people picking up on that, which is other media outlets. You got analysts, you got experts, you got this and that, talking about it for a week or 2 or 3, and then it's dropped. And maybe when the time comes and it's beneficial again to recondition us, to make sure we're still there, they bring it back in relation to something similar. But when it's something important, let's say a guy crosses the border illegally and, I don't know, does something bad to a child, that comes for one day if it comes and then disappears. No follow-up, nothing. But they reported it. You have it. But the proportion between how much one thing is covered versus the other one, which is not, and which one is more important, that's irrelevant to them. It's just we need to push this. You need to know that. This much, you need to know that one. And that gets me to, so when you hear about the Russians doing this and doing that, a lot of things you hear about Russians. Oh, they arrested someone because criticized the war. Across the border in Ukraine, you have people who just videotaped and they get 5 years in prison. You remember the Kiev incident? And not only, well, it's war, Emil, but why don't you apply it on the other side? Because they're bad. Don't talk about it. And then always gets me to this, where I learned the first time this kind of thing. It was when I was very young. I read a book when Romania became democratic and free and all that, right after 1990, where you could buy books that were not allowed during the communist time. Many, they were not allowed. Not printed. So if you're not printing it, and they had one printing shop or two, and that's it in the whole town, if you had it. And that was it, government owned, by the way. So you after the revolution, 1989, you could buy whatever book you want, more than here in United States of America. Any kind of book, any. So very free, a period of time in Romania where really things were very free, which was kind of like anarchy, free anarchy. So I read this book, and over there this guy said, it was in the 1920s, he said that he realized that the media can turn the most respected person in a inappropriate person or a bad person, portray it in about a week. So destroy someone's reputation. The media, the newspapers in those times can destroy someone's reputation in a week, or build from a scumbag into a very respected person in a week as well. By the articles, by covering, or he gave an example, the most important issues of the society, of the country, could be ignored and turned into trivial things, or not even important. But the trivial things could be promoted and repeated so often that they become the most important things, like a, I don't know, existential situation for the whole country. Like we have right now, gender thing, hair, long, whatever, my pronouns, the most important thing for a fragment of the society versus millions of people crossing the border. Millions, it's not hundreds of thousands, if millions. If I think they said in the past, I don't know, 10 years, how many millions came here across the border. That's, yeah, that should be closed yesterday. They don't, there's not a will, they don't talk about it. And many other issues, like they call it a universal healthcare system. Again, they talk and they can't solve it somehow, but they talk every day about this and your balls and what you like to and how you like to take it. It's just, that's important, very important. For a segment of the society, it became the, oh my God, so important, equity, inclusion, and tolerance, and all this. But these guys don't talk about this little video that I played. So if you think that, there's not an ideology and these guys are not controlling the narrative, and you think it's fair, you're free as long as you parrot the narrative. I'm expecting a knock at my door. I don't want to be, I don't want to say paranoid or narcissistic. I give it, some people ask me, are you not afraid of this or that? So what am I supposed to do? Be like weasels? I said, yeah, I expect, let's take 60% at this point. 60%. 60%, a knock at the door, we would like to talk to you. That's all. So, there are risks, but, at one point in life you have to make a decision if you want to be like, I don't want to say everybody else, but be like a sheep, or you want to be yourself. And even right here, I can't be myself. Sometimes on Rumble, I'm more myself than here, because here you have this community inspectors censorship, that if I say something the way it is and I say it directly, they will just say, they will not arrest me, but they will close our communication. And we depend on them. Why? Because we have a constitution, right? Freedom of speech is protected, not in private corporations. That means in private corporations they can ignore representation. That means you can have other rights, temporary privileges that are protected under the Constitution. It seems like if these guys can censor me in YouTube, because it's a private company, can do whatever it wants, that means they can violate other constitutional rights. Why just stop at the first one? So the same time, the same thing with carrying a gun. You can carry it in our again. These guys can do that. That means they are above the Constitution. Well, it's a little bit more complicated supposedly, but still, the Constitution, again, I disagree with not being able, for instance, to carry a gun in certain areas, because some people dictated that. Who are you? You infringe my rights. Make it limited. Or we need some. I mean, if you go like that, you're going to infringe everything. On that reason, like these guys said in this video that I played here. In the name of what? He was what? Grossly offensive. That's what they said. That was the charge. Grossly offensive. Let me see if that is here. So here it is.
Really?
So even by retelling the story to you now, I am potentially engaging in grossly offensive behavior.
Grossly offensive behavior. Got it, my Brits? Offensive. What if I feel I'm offended by their existence or by their offense? Well, I'm offended by your offense, that you're offended. Does it work? And if not, why not? Are we not equal? Some people are allowed to be offended, but some others are not. Who are the arbiters? Definitely not the society. Definitely not this community guidelines operators, because there's no community. We are not in that community. It's their community. Their community, and we are excluded. That's not very inclusive group. Well, get out of here. Oh my God, you're not tolerant. Oh, you don't like diversity of thought. Definitely not. They like only kind of diversity when it fits their interest and their agenda and ideology. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.